This is the video everyone has been looking for, and I'm going to show you guys my main vinyl setup. And as you see, basically I made a stand for it, or we could call it a rack. Nice rack for vinyl, and basically this whole thing is the turntable setup. So next to it, that's my single-handed amp, autoformer volume control. That's my little console for the selector switch for inputs, and underneath DAC, CD player, and there's some power supply stuff there, some power cleaning devices. But this entire thing, this is the vinyl rig, and I made the rack, and it's put together with a crack jig. So when you angle the screws into it, and that makes it like extremely sturdy, and it has to be because there's more than 100 pounds on it. It's on 5 plastic wheels, and it can be moved, and that was an important consideration. So if I want to, I can pull it out, and then I can reach things from behind. Not that I ever done it since I put the table there, but it was very nice because I could put all the equipment up there, and I just rolled it back to its place. So let's have a look at things. I will tell you the good things about it, and those things which are in progress, and certain things I did that I'm proud of, and other things which I'm not proud of at all, which were some necessities, some things that didn't really work out. And I'm doing this video partially because I'm going to completely rebuild the turntable and the Tonearm, how it is completely from the scratch. So this is more like a memento for myself as well, how it used to be before it became what it will become, hopefully within the next 2 months. So as you can see, let's start here. I have 2 arms set up. This is one arm, that's a Sony pickup artist arm, a PUA arm. It's a vintage arm, and it has a removable head shell on it. You can take it off, and it's super convenient. I set that up because I have these tigers in the house. Actually, she's a lion, not a tiger, as you can see from the coloring. And there's one more, and they are still quite young, and they just tend to run around the house. And if you have lived with cats, then you know that they are a true danger for your turntable. I think I will make a separate episode on how to cat-proof your audio system, because I have over a decade of experience with that. And this was done in order for that, because I used to use the long arm, but it is extremely vulnerable to cats. And then the problem is that, you see, there's the cartridge mounted on the long arm, and if the cat comes here, whacks it, and that's it, your cartridge goes bye-bye. So that's why I put up the pickup artist arm, because then if I'm not at home, I can unscrew it, remove the head shell, and the cats can run about as much as they want. They will not harm the sensitive bits. Luckily, these cats, they don't want to just sit on the table and spin around with it. But if you look on YouTube, there's tons of videos where you can see turntables and cats sitting on and spinning around. I'm really blessed that they don't do it, but you have to be prepared for that eventuality if you have animals in your place. So you would be wondering probably what this long arm is. I mean, what is this long arm? I made this arm, and I really love, and I've been using these wooden arms that I built for the past I would say 18 years or more, and they are just absolutely fantastic. They I would say they beat the crap out of any metal arm, and the reason for that is that when you have a tone arm, it contributes a lot of mechanical vibrations to the sound. And if you have a metallic arm, then it will give metallic vibrations, which means like really high frequency, sharp vibrations. And then imagine that signal that gets picked up by the cartridge is such a super low level signal, and when you have that high frequency mechanical vibrations, even if they are just a few nanometers in size, it's going to add that metallic coloration to the sound. And in addition, if you have metal, and then it also picks up EM interference from the neighborhood, from around your room, so you have to ground it, and also as a result it acts as a capacitor. And what capacitors are, they cut your high frequency. So every time you go for a wooden arm from a metallic arm, you will notice an opening of the top end. So your high frequency is the very high, the sky just opens up. And that's true for every single time. So how is this long arm? This is basically a yard long arm. It's like super big. Even if you look next to the platter, so this is an acrylic platter, and it's bigger than a VPI platter. It's on a VPI bearing. And how much bigger is it than VPIs? I would say about this much. Well, not this much, but quite a bit, about that much thicker than a VPI platter. So if you look at my SDS, if I had a VPI platter, then the frequency would be logged to 60.60 hertz, and now it's like a third, quite a bit lower, more than 7 hertz lower than 60 hertz. So it's about 10% bigger in diameter than a stock VPI platter. And as you see, I use the VPI SDS for speed control. It makes a really big difference. So if you have not used these devices, then try it. For many, it's just an extra step that when you add the SDS, then you get an isolation from your line and a more stable frequency. Here's the other one. But in my case, this is an absolute necessity, because if I were to run the motor from the wall, then I would be about 10% faster than what is needed. So after all, it works out because it's beneficial and a necessity as well, so it's all good. Now let's go back to it. So this is a pretty big and really freaking heavy platter, and nevertheless, imagine that these cats could not, once they knocked this entire table off. So when I got home, it was leaning on the side like that. I have no clue what they did, but they are pretty big cats, 15 pounds each. So, and they often chase each other, so probably when two cats jump on the table, then they can, with big energy, they can move a lot of weight. So you see next to that giant platter, it's totally dwarfed by the arm. So what is this arm? Let's just turn on some extra light. As you see, the light here is not just random, it is on purpose. I will talk about it later. First of all, it helps you to provide extra light when you put on your records, and most often if I'm listening to music, I turn off the lights, do it at night. And then if you want to play records, it's a good idea to have a light that you can turn on, set things up, and then switch the light off and enjoy it. Or maybe even you can leave the light on and enjoy the light show, that the light is reflecting from the LP, and it's a very beautiful sight, really very hypnotic. So now let's go and have a look at the Tonearm. So this arm is made of two different wood. It's the top long piece, this is balsa wood, and this is a trick that I learned from the really old-timer audiophiles from the 40s and 50s. They used to use this trick, balsa yard-long arms, and they work. If you never tried super long tone arms, you will be in for a shock once you go for these guys. And we've been building a couple of ones, even ones that are like half of this length. They just beat the crap out of a stock ET2 arm that used to be the standard about 10 years ago. And this is already quite a bit upgraded from that. So here, this is what my change for that was, that the top bit is the balsa wood, which is an extremely light wood, but it doesn't have a consistency really. It doesn't have a nice wooden characteristic, but the bottom there, you see that bit that runs from there up to the origin of the arm, that is spruce. So there's a spruce backing which narrows to the end, and then it gets wider and wider and wider, and then it gets widest over there. And there on the sides there are two Teflon blocks, and basically it is sitting on a Teflon bearing. So I cannibalized an older Tonearm which was broken, and I used the base for the cueing mechanism and for the bearing. The original bearing wasn't much to say about, but sprucing it up with the Teflon blocks made a huge difference, because now the arm is basically on a super nice Teflon bearing. And check this out. What is the Tonearm wiring? The Tonearm wiring is gauge 30 silver, and the gauge 30 silver is bonded into the arm. So I'm not sure how much it is visible, but there are 4 wires in parallel running at the bottom of the arm. Maybe we can catch a glimpse somewhere. And I used Elmer's glue to bind it to the arm. And this is gauge 30 Teflon coated silver, fine silver wire, soft alloy. And that's running at the bottom of the arm. And here at the base, the silver wires come out, and they connect to that really suspicious looking connector. And that's where I hook up regular RCA cables, and then it goes through. So as you see right now, it is not hooked up because the arm has been the casualty of a cat attack, and they really busted the bearing. So I will need to rebuild this arm. So that's why when you see my videos coming out, I'm not using this arm, sadly, very, very sadly. So one more thing to say, what do I have on this arm? This is my best cartridge that I have, and this is a Benz MC3. This is a vintage cartridge. That was the first cartridge that put Benz Micro in the serious cartridge category. This was the foundation of their reputation. And as you see, it's not entirely as it was made, but it's a little bit spruced up. So you see there, that's a little piece of a mu metal, and it's there to amplify the magnetic field of the motor of the cartridge, and it has a quite a big impact on the motor strength, and makes it quite a bit more dynamic and more extended. And check this out. I'm not sure if you can see it. No, I'm too close, but I'm not using any pins to mount the cartridge to the wiring. The wiring is directly connected to the cartridge pins. I don't use any connectors at all. There's a secret how you can do it, how you can make that secure mechanical connection, but it's worth gold. The best connector is no connector, and when you are talking about cartridges, it's just it's dope, as they say, as MC Hammer would say. It's truly fantastic. And now I'm a little bit cheating, because here I have RCA jacks, but when I had my previous long arm set up properly, then the Tonearm wire was running, and it was directly running into the interconnect. So the Tonearm wire and the interconnect were an unbroken piece of gauge 30 silver. And of course, instead of RCA connectors, I used to use no connectors. I used the DIY RCA jacks, where you had the wire itself making contact with the RCA jack of the phono stage. And that's just unbelievably good. It's unreal. However, it has one drawback, that you cannot just plug and unplug it as many times as RCA jacks. It's really fragile. So just do that solution when you have everything down and you have your final phono stage up and running, and then everything will just really click in. And basically it's really hard to make, because you have to put the wire up on the arm and braid it into an interconnect as well. So it's I would say like a whole day work to do the wiring when you do it that way. And I will have to do it sooner or later. Just for convenience sake, I did it this way, so I can quickly disconnect and reconnect it, because I'm still working on the base of the arm, which is this big base where it's sitting. So it used to sit on this wooden block, and the wooden block just sat on the table itself, and then I just put this piece of carbon fiber base under it, and it didn't help at all. It did not become any better. I think it made the image a little bit softer. I think it was better without it, so I'm not very proud of this thing. Now it's easier to level the cartridge, because I have spruce blocks under it, and I use them to set the angle and to set the height. And as you see, there's this suspicious looking mat. You can pick these up from the dollar Japanese stores, and you might be wondering, what on earth are these? Are these to improve frequency response or what? No, they are to keep away the cats. You see, the cat wants to jump in here. There are these sharp spikes, and it really prevents the cat from just running and jumping onto it. And I have another set up there next to the arm base as well. So that's my cat protection going on. And so here, this is my better cartridge, the Benz MC3, which is an absolute king of mid-range and naturality. There are other cartridges like the the Zix Universe and stuff like that, which are like really audiophile sounding, which has like, they have like subterranean bass, extended highs, but their mid-range is, I would say, a little bit suspicious. The MC3, it has unreal naturalness. You really like, you sit down, listen to it, and you have the same mental state and mindset that when you go to the symphony or when you go to listen to an opera. It really heals your soul. And to cast away those suspicions that, yeah, every 6 months you need a new cartridge, man, this cartridge is about 20 years old or more, and it works just perfectly fine. It never had a tip or stylus rebuild, it didn't need one. It's sturdy, just as the Audio Technicas that I use, which are my day-to-day go-to cartridges. So that was part 1, and I will continue with part 2. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Bye bye.